This NASCAR Martinsville 2024 betting recap edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Cut. Cut is a peer-to-peer social betting platform that's U.S.-based and available in 40 states. Head to cut.com, that's KUTT.com, and use promo code SGPN for a 10% deposit bonus. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Play their fantasy pick'em for a chance to win 100x in NBA, MLB, NHL, NASCAR, F1, college basketball, and more. Sign up today using promo code RACESGPN to get a 100% deposit match. We're also brought to you by the premier arbitrage sports betting tool, AVO. Use their tool to bet both sides and lock in a profit. Access their platform for free at arbsodds.com. Plus, in honor of Masters this week, the Golf guys are giving away a tailor-made Spider X putter for free. Enter at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/master.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you ask me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
The final checkered flag has flown in Martinsville, and we are here to wrap up the weekend. It is, of course, the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb, and I am Rod Villagomez. I'm sorry. I literally just got done watching WrestleMania, so I'm in full WrestleMania hype. It's just, I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. Shout out, if you haven't watched already, plug your ears, because shout out to the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes for taking the belt away from Roman Reigns. The title is now in better hands. Took the whole WWE roster, but I felt like that at Martinsville actually this weekend. I took the whole Martinsville roster to get some folks the win, but it was an entertaining weekend nonetheless, Cody.
Well, speaking of scripted sports, Rod, we should have known on the 40th anniversary they brought the Ruby cars. I brought it up in my Chase Elliott handicap, which was close. We'll talk about that in a few. We should have just believed in the narrative. I don't know how many times these things have to happen for us to believe in them, but it seems like every time there's a big story like this in NASCAR, it all works out. And yet again, it did. Hendrick 1, 2, 3 to cap off the weekend celebration in the Ruby cars. So man, William Byron, boy, he is him, I think is what the kids say these days, Rod.
I'm pretty sure that's what the kids say. Although you gotta hate it for Alex Bowman at this point, right? I mean, at what point
dude ran 8th place too, like he was good, but like just complete shit compared to who his 3 teammates are.
and that's sad because it wasn't bad. It was like literally, like you said, a top 10 finish, and we're all like, "Oh, poor Alex Bowman." Would normally be like, "Yeah, top 10 finish, let's go, Alex Bowman." But yeah, I don't know why, Cody. I don't even know. I should have known. I should have listened to everything. Like you said, I've been writing about WrestleMania for the last 2 months. I should have just known that the script was going to say that Hendrick was going to finish 1, 2, 3.
Sometimes, but the script doesn't always work out. You look at women's college basketball today. I thought for sure the script would go Caitlin Clark's way. It doesn't. So who knows? Maybe it's not all scripted. Maybe this is just how it worked out. Hendrick's been really good here in the past. Obviously, all 4 of their drivers actually have wins here. It's not too shocking. I think the big thing was, we just hadn't seen it from them lately in the short track package. They've had it in the new car, obviously. They've done well here and won. So that's not too surprising. There were a few other things that obviously weren't that surprising, seeing guys like Joey Logano up front wasn't super surprising. He's been good here. Seen Denny Hamlin run well, of course. Not surprising either. So I think overall, kind of a pretty chalky week, like we suggested it would be. Maybe not exactly the way the chalk lined up like we thought, right? We obviously didn't hit the outright or anything like that. But overall, it was the new short track package. I don't know what to tell you, Rod. Really, a lot of follow the leader. There was some good racing and storylines kind of throughout the day, but you saw it with the Joey Logano thing. I mean, track position really was king, and it was going to be tough to beat track position. We got the drama of an overtime restart. Nothing really changed up front, but that's how it goes.
It was the thin chalk. It wasn't the thick chalk. So that's how we'll go. Hey, but listen, speaking of scripted sports, let's talk golf. No, I'm just kidding. I don't think golf is necessarily all that scripted. But it is sometimes just follow the leader, as Martinsville is. But in honor of Masters this week, right, the biggest event in all of golf history, Golf Gambling Podcast, guys, they're giving away a free tailor-made Spider X putter. You can enter for free right now at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/masters, sportsgamblingpodcast.com. I can say it, /masters. And attention, San Diego, Sean and Ryan are going to give a special Circa Sports Watch party starting Tuesday afternoon at 4 p.m. at Swing Social. Free drinks. Free. You had me at free drinks. For anyone wearing Cubs or Padres gears. So for anybody waking up and choosing violence, you get a free drink. Grab a cocktail and say, "What's up?" That's kind of dangerous if you want to do that. But sure.
Makes me wish I was in the San Diego area, Rod.
Indeed. Let's check in with the chat real quick. Sean Brady saying Elliott peaking right in time for Dover.
Oof, I like it.
Good. Look pretty good, JDK. Can we just make a rule that if a milestone event for Hendrick, we just bet Byron?
Something about that 24 car, huh?
Corey talking about late race cautions. You want to talk about late race?
Yeah, you want to talk about scripts. I think late race cautions are in the scripts because NASCAR loves that. But no, it's crazy how those things work out. I mean, literally, Rod, Fox doesn't do a lot of things great, as you could see from my viral tweet. I don't know if you haven't seen this. All right, it's gotten quite a bit of attention. I'm sitting there, I'm watching the race. I'm paying attention, but a little graphic flashes up on the bottom of the screen, and I'm like, I kind of like glance at it, and then it goes off the screen, and I go, "Did that say Martinsville winners and have Daniel Suarez?" So I backed up the TV, and I'm like, "Holy shit!" They had, Rod, the last 5 Martinsville winners, and 4 of them were incorrect. Also, like, they had Chastain in the fall of 21 winning in the 1 car, which wasn't in.
That was not even there.
Yeah. Well, they had Busch in the 8 car winning in the fall of 22, which he was in the 18 at the time. So, and they did something similar on Saturday too, where they had a bunch of Cup guys' names in. But like, this isn't even like the winners list from anywhere. So I don't know. I don't understand. But anyway, so you get to the end of the race, right? There's like 5 laps to go, and they put up that little, at the bottom of the graphic, there was a little yellow light graphic. Like they were just waiting for the yellow light to pop. And like as soon as it popped up, all of a sudden it lights up. And I'm like, wow, like what? Imagine the timing on that happening, because it was almost like at the same time. Like they knew it was coming.
I noticed that too, because I saw the caution underneath and I was like, wait, they aren't. And
I've never seen that before. Like it was literally like we're going to time the light up to the video of when does the light come on, and boom, then the light comes on. It was pretty ironic, I guess you could say.
Yeah. I just looked at it. I go, wait, so does that mean that? Oh, there it is. Yeah.
For the record too, I don't think that NASCAR is scripted. I think if NASCAR was scripted, Dale Earnhardt Jr. would have at least 1 championship. That is the thing that makes me believe the most that it's not scripted, and pretty hard to script racing, I think, at this point too. But yeah, it's kind of went the way you thought it would go. So yeah, I don't know. Nick Fortune saying some bad bets this weekend. Regroup and move forward. We had a lot of success in the Xfinity and trucks, so make sure you stick around for those portions of the recap. We had a few things in this Cup race, but what do you think, Rod? Should we start diving into the bets?
I say we should. Yeah, I mean there was some good stuff in there. I think we found some nuggets. I think just a couple of breaks didn't go our way, but yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, speaking of breaks that didn't go our way, I had Josh Berry over Tyler Reddick. Josh Berry had a horrendous day. Just like everything that could go wrong went wrong. I think he was penalized multiple times, had another issue at some point during the race. Still ended up 25th, which honestly thought would be pretty close to being enough to beat Tyler Reddick. Tyler Reddick, though, shocking. I mean, 7th place. One of the best runs he's had in the short track here with them. So I don't know. He just kind of showed up at the end. I don't really know exactly how he got up there. I wasn't paying too much attention to where he was running throughout the day, but a much better run compared to what he's done here. I mean, he'd been 4 for 4 shitty. I think 18th had been his best result here. And so that's what I was looking at. Barry obviously coming off the momentum of Richmond. Things don't quite go his way. I was kind of hoping Reddick would do bad because I want to be on him next week at Texas. But hopefully they'll still overlook him anyways. So, yeah, unfortunately, we missed out on this one.
And shout out, though, Reddick was a top 15 car a better part of the day. In fact, the reason he got up to 7th in the first place was because on that final restart, he was sitting just outside. He was, I think, 10th place at the restart, managed to grab 3 spots at the end of that race. So, yeah, I mean, look, good for Tyler Reddick, man. Definitely a good run. And there's a lot of, hey, look at Tyler Reddick's actually hanging up there. And he was. So,
well, and I'd love to see it for I'm holding championship tickets, multiple tickets on him, Rod. At big numbers too, and so if they can complete everything and get the short track package too, I mean, he was good at Phoenix, so I'm not worried about that. But Martinsville's on the stretch run in the playoffs, right? Need to do good there. So good. I love to see it as far as someone who's pretty invested in his how his season goes.
Well, some of that was invested in how a team was going to go. I had Legacy over Front Row at plus 110. This one took the caution to cash because I said it too. I said this was going to be a Todd Gilliland versus Eric Jones battle, right? I basically broke it down to be that's what I thought it was going to be. And I thought maybe Hocevar could get there too. But thank God for Eric Jones on that restart. It was Eric Jones and Todd Gilliland starting right after each other, right? Just literally one right after the other. Sure enough, Eric Jones finishes in 12th. Todd Gilliland finishes in 13th. So you want to talk about absolutely sweating it. I mean, this was a head-to-head. It wasn't even a head-to-head, but it ended up being. So, and thank God, too, because Carson Hocevar did finish in, but he's inspired. But, yeah, I mean, Michael McDowell finished in 21st. And then if you want to go for the other legacy car, John Hunter Nemechek all the way back in 36th. So, I mean, thankfully, like I said, the Eric Jones carried the day for this one, but boy, it took the last caution to get it done. Yeah,
quick side note as far as sweating it, Rod. My local this morning offered me Corey LaJoie versus Harrison Burton. Of course, I took Corey LaJoie. So when we got to that last caution flag, both of these drivers 3 laps down. I was watching this battle for 32nd and 33rd and sweating it out. Luckily, Corey LaJoie bested Harrison Burton to cash for me, but hey, these books know what they're doing, right? They get these guys finishing back-to-back time and time again. So,
you know, what other one I had too, remember the underdog pick that I had was Kyle Busch, worse than 15 and a half. That hook went the right way because he finished 16th.
Yeah, 16th. I mean, again, like just right on the number, and they nailed it. So, Rod, something I did nail this weekend, which was not a ton of things, but fade Brad Keselowski. They had Ty Gibbs matched up against him at minus 110. I told you I wasn't too high on Gibbs this week, Rod, and I got some shit for it from the Gibbs fan club. Shout out to you guys because I love you guys, of course. But he didn't really show up this week. 19th place. I mean, I don't think he ever really ran better than that. Just kind of didn't hear from him. I don't know what it was about this weekend, but I didn't feel good about it. Didn't like what I had seen kind of looking in the research coming into this week. So glad I kind of away from him. Other than this one, though, this did still cash. This was just fade Keselowski. Keselowski's not been good at Martinsville. 24th place, exactly where I expected him to run. So Gibbs finishing in 19th, finished better than him, of course, in cash. And then Rod said it on the podcast, run and place this bet. This is the easiest bet you'll ever take in your life. William Byron over Brad Keselowski. 2 drivers who should not be matched up at this track. It was minus 130. You only pay the juice if you lose, Rod. And you didn't lose by 23 spots because William Byron, of course, wins the race like we talked about, and Keselowski in 24th place. So no sweat at all on this one. I mean, Byron was a pretty fast car right from the word go. I mean, he was quick right away, kind of cutting it up through the field, and then once he got up front, it was going to be pretty hard to catch him. And Keselowski just not around all day. He's not been good in this new car on this new track, or not new track. It's the oldest track in NASCAR, but in the new car on this track, he's not been good. And that one did, the Reddick one didn't hold true this week, but that one did hold true.
And Gibbs got penalized. Gibbs got bumped around. Gibbs, every opportunity for him to not finish this race, won, and finish better than Keselowski too. So hats off to Gibbs for surviving the chaos in order to actually cash that. So yeah, both of those cashed, and again, they were good calls. And we weren't saying that any of these guys are going to be barn busters. We just knew they weren't going to be better, or they were all going to be better than Keselowski. And yeah, Byron definitely put that away. I'll break down my next bet, but first, let me tell you about Cut. Cut is a peer-to-peer social betting platform that's U.S.-based and available in 40 states. Peer-to-peer social betting is new, and it's a better way to bet. You can bet directly against your friends or other users, not just on sports, but on politics, pop culture, and any other event. Just like WrestleMania just happened, maybe we'll put some up for Raw, as long as it's got a verifiable outcome. Plus, there's tons of fun social features that give it the feel of a betting social network. Cut also offers the lowest VIG and has fully customizable odds, which means you can create your own bets. Cut handles the payment side of things too, so you never got to chase anyone down for money ever again. Social features include group chats, betting leaderboards, head-to-head history, user profiles, fan groups, and so much more, like rewards. Get cash back every single time you bet against your friends or other users. So many great bets out there right now. Cody's still got a bunch of futures bets out there, so make sure you go check those out. Download Cut today in the App Store or over at cut.com. That's KUTT.com. Use promo code SGPN for a 10% deposit bonus. Talked about Underdog Fantasy. I hit 2 of 3 this weekend. Thank Cole Custer for blowing the whole damn thing, but still hit 2 of 3. Pretty happy about that. Underdog Fantasy, what is it? It's the easiest place to play fantasy sports. Plus, it's also the fastest growing fantasy app in the industry. All you got to do, pick better or worse than the finishing position that's projected for each driver. If you're doing racing, higher or lower than the projected stat total for the player that you're going to play, whether it's football, basketball, hockey, soccer, anything else that's out there. All you got to do is do that. Watch those multipliers go up every time you pick one up to about 5. And then if you find those spicy little chilies, you're going to get 100x on your entry. Oh, I could sit here and tell you about Underdog forever, but the best way for you to do it is go experience it yourself. Sign up today with promo code RACESGPN. Get your first deposit doubled up to $100, as well as an instant pick'em special. Visit UnderdogFantasy.com or find them in the App Store. And don't forget to register with our promo code RACESGPN to get your first deposit doubled up to $100, as well as that instant pick'em special. Must be 18 or older and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit www.ncpgambling.org. All right. So, we got plenty of it.
Catching up on the chat. Your brother checking in. Guys, full day between the race, WrestleMania. He's confused. How many laps did Damian Priest lead? I'm going to guess that's a WWE guy.
Only one, Nick. Only one, and that was enough to get him the title.
What a day in sports, though. Like, we had the women's, basketball championship game. That was a really good game. I mean, the score ended up kind of being a little lopsided at the end, but the game was good. We had the race, of course. Yeah, the WrestleMania. Baseball's in full swing. John Calipari just got announced as leaving Kentucky to go to Arkansas. Been a crazy day. He's also wondering if anybody cashed money in the bank on William Byron, and he hates typos. I hit him over Brad Keselowski, so there's that.
Well, I was going to say, Nick, actually, Elliott was probably the one that wanted to cash that money in the bank in on Byron to grab the win because, if you want to talk about getting beat there at the end, Chase Elliott leading 64 laps of this race, but he did exactly what I wanted him to do, and that was just beat Ty Gibbs. And that was we talked about Ty Gibbs earlier and just how he didn't run all that well, but we knew that the Hendrick guys were going to run well. Did we know they were going to go 1, 2, 3? Probably should have. But I knew that was going to be enough to beat Ty Gibbs. And so, Elliott, man, 64 laps he led in this race, finished third, started third, didn't really have like a day that moved him up in the spot, but definitely an encouraging day for that 9 team because they needed something like this to go right for them. And you could hear the disappointment in him to not get this win, but I got to think that he's happy with how this went and he's looking forward to what's to come now.
Yeah, this has got to feel really good for Chase Elliott and that team. I mean, they needed a pick-me-up, right? He's had some decent finishes this year, but hadn't spent any time out front. Now he got the chance to lead. maybe had a chance to win this. I think he should have been a little more aggressive with Byron there. He was sitting in a perfect spot where you bump him and run. Come on, Rod. That's what you do on short tracks. Chase didn't do it, but that's okay. I think it'll come back to him soon. So yeah, impressive. And again, like we talked about with Ty Gibbs, we love him. Thought he would have an okay day, but just didn't feel like this was going to be his week. And I mean, honestly, he could have finished fourth and you still would have cashed this bet. So works out for you. JDK pointing out that we missed the men's world curling championship today.
That's a big deal out there in Canada.
On the DVR and check that out. And Nick Fortune wants to know who your favorite wrestler is, Rod.
So I'm an old school Undertaker fan right now. So my favorite current wrestler, I may have to say either Becky Lynch or Bayley, or I could just go completely with the whole flow and say Cody Rhodes. But yeah.
Well, I'm definitely a Cody Rhodes fan, but mostly because of his name. We've spent too much time talking about wrestling. Anyways, Rod, next up for me, Chase Briscoe, top forward, plus 750. This one didn't cash, but not a bad bet, again, for the money that you got it at. He finishes in 10th place. He's 5 for 5 now in the new car, finishing in the top 10 at Martinsville. Just announced today, I think it was actually earlier today, that they're having twins, Rod. So pretty exciting for the Briscoe family there. But yeah, he ends up being the fourth finishing forward, but not a bad day by any means in 10th place. That's what you want. Again, Blaney and Logano finished ahead of him. They were ahead of him in the odds. You know, we expected Blaney to be good here, short odds, just in case something happens to him, right? And he wasn't without his struggles. They had a pit issue at one point and some other stuff to go through. Logano, wild card. We always know that, right? So maybe you get good Logano, maybe you don't. And then Ryan Preece ended up finishing in the top 10 as well, ahead of Briscoe. And we'll talk about the bet we cashed on him in a few minutes. So all kind of worked out. But Chase Briscoe top forward at plus 750. There was definitely value there. So don't regret making that bet at all.
Well, and he was the top forward at certain points in this race. I mean, Logano was not always up there, and Blaney had to fight his way through the field to even get to where he was at. So, I mean, Briscoe was cashing this bet for you at certain points. So definitely not a bad bet at all. And for him to only be the third forward in line, definitely good job for Chase Briscoe, finishing 10th place. Talk about top 10 finishes. If I were to read off to you this list of names again, and you would tell me which one failed to make this mark, and I told you that it was Christopher Bell, you would tell me it's crazy. I said that Blaney, Larson, and Bell would all make the top 10. Blaney and Larson held up their end of the deal, but God bless it, Bell just did everything he could to not run this race, man. It was like he forgot where the gas pedal was. He had pit troubles. He had penalties. He had...
Well, how impressive was it that tire, I mean, they didn't get the lug nut on, Rod, and somehow the tire held on, as fucked up as it was under the car, to get him back to pit road and not roll off, which would have caused a lot more issues. But yeah, brutal fucking day for Christopher Bell. He did a bad weekend, really. I mean, he qualified 20th, and then just things went downhill. Man, I played him in DFS, Rod. Bell is one of those guys, he's like Larson, like when they're on, they're on. But if they have a bad day, it's a brutal day. And it's just, man, unfortunate to see for him. So, yeah, he was the one that didn't hold up his end of the deal here, because you nailed it with the other two guys safely in the top 5 even. So, sucks that Bell didn't get it done. Speaking of Ryan Blaney, who was in your thing there, I had him top 5 even money over on DraftKings. He did it. He got it done. Again, the number just seemed right for as successful as he's been here at this track. It's been his best track, really, statistically, if you look at it. He's been consistently good. Like I said, had some battles throughout the day, struggled through it, fought through the adversity, ends up coming home in 5th place. One spot between his best friend, Bubba Wallace, there, which we didn't have any bets on him, but shout out to Bubba for holding it through at the day. I know some people in the Discord got some plus money bets on him for a top 10 this morning. JDK tried to tell me that was a stupid bet. Suck it, JDK. Oh, just kidding. But I know he's in the chat, so just giving him shit. But yeah, so Ryan Blaney top 5 even money was a little bit of a sweat, but pans out at the end of the day.
I'm gonna have to go with you on that one, because JDK is telling me that he's waving the fact that he met the Undertaker a few times in his day in my face, and I was this close to being able to meet him, but I wussed out because I was on official duty and I couldn't go backstage and ruin my official duty. But I would if I would have not been a professional, I would have gone backstage and met the Undertaker. Anyways, all right. So for my next bet, man, I'm so ticked off. I had Hamlin Wait, hold on. I think I've got to. Yeah, hang on. I'm gonna get to this because I've got a pretty nice little rant that I've got to get to. But first, I've got to tell you about AVO. We are proud to partner with AVO, the premier sports betting arbitrage tool. If you're new to arbitrage sports betting, it's very simple. Basically, you can bet both sides of a bet at 2 different sportsbook to lock in a profit. The AVO tool scans a sportsbook looking for discrepancies in the odds and then tells you how much money you need to place with each sportsbook and the expected profit. The tool is super easy to use and lightning fast, as speed is a big part of arbitrage sports betting. The best part of AVO is currently free to use without restriction. That's right, completely free. Get started today at arbsodds.com. That's arbsvsodds.com. That's arbsvsodds.com.
Oh, always looking for ways to beat the books, Rod. Sounds like a pretty good way, and can't beat free, huh?
This is definitely, you can't beat free. Free! I always love saying it like that now. So for now on, I'm just going to say for free. All right. Speaking of free, I'm freeing myself of any further Denny Hamlin anything. It's like, okay. So I know he won last week. I get it, right? And then he goes out and he looks like he may end up winning this week. Lead 66 laps, strong car. And then, obviously the Hendrick cars were just way too much for it. But he did not help himself at all. How, Cody? How do you pit there? What advantage do you have by pitting that late in the race?
So,
you are not.
I'm trying to think.
Hold on, because I got to get this out. You are not a rocket ship. You know that your laps are. You know how hard it's been to pass all day long. You give up a spot in the first 2 rows to put tires on, and what? To finish? What did he finish? 11th?
Yeah.
When you've been running 3rd all day long. I know you have a win. I get you could take chances, but that was I'm not even a race car driver, and I know that was a dumb move, even in that spot with a win in your pocket. So I'm sorry, Cody. Go ahead.
So, yes, I think you're correct. I don't know what they were expecting. I think that they didn't think they were going to win from where they were at. Maybe you pull a couple of guys down with you. If 4 or 5 guys behind him come, there was only 13 guys on the lead lap at that point in time. So, you can come back out 8th, maybe 7th place, fresh tires. You get 2 or 3 overtimes because, come on, we all know it's going to come to that. You're going to get somebody's going to bump somebody out of the way. And there was a wreck on the white flag lap, that got cleaned up and they got out of the way or whatever. I don't even remember TV showing it. They mentioned it, but I don't think they ever showed it. And so if you boom, you gain a couple spots on the first restart, gain a couple spots in the next restart. Maybe that's the only way they could win. So I get it. I'm not going to question Chris Gabehart. He's probably one of the best, if not the best, crew chief in the garage. If he makes a decision, I mean, they missed this time, but they're usually pretty spot on. So I think it was still a good bet to make. Like, he was a fast car all day. I mean, I looked at one point like, okay, welcome to the Denny Hamlin show, right? He's won twice this season already, right? Plus the Clash. So, we were looking at him being the first 3rd-time winner, and Byron ended up taking that instead. But it looked good for a while. So it was a good bet to make, but unfortunately, it didn't quite pan out in the end there for you, Rod. Something that did pan out, though. My guy, Ryan Preece, played him in the one and done this week, which was a good call. He ends up coming home in 9th place. Had him top 5 at 8-1. That one didn't cash, but again, 9th place, you're pretty close. Took him at 235 for the top 10. Rod plus 235. That one did cash as he squeaks his way into the top 10 there at the end. So solid day from Ryan Preece. Look, this is his type of track. This is his type of racing. Stewart-Haas cars, we know that they're going to be good, and they showed up pretty decent again today with Preece being in 9th, Briscoe coming home in 10th. The other 2 guys struggled. Gregson really wasn't much of a factor all day, and then Barry, of course, had his struggles throughout the day. But he was top 10 in both stages, so he looked good early in the race. Back to him not cashing over Reddick. He looked good before they had, I don't even remember, was it a speeding penalty or leaving the equipment, whatever it was. It was some type of penalty, put him behind, and then I think they had one other issue, and that cost him. But Ryan Preece top 10 did cash at plus 235.
Yeah, and Priest wasn't even a factor at all day into the top 10 conversation until the very end. So it doesn't matter how, just matters that it does.
It was flirting just outside, but yeah, he wasn't. I mean, didn't really get into the top 10 until the end. But hey, long as he's there on that last lap, that's all that matters, Rod.
Yes, indeed. All right. Well, the hook got me on this one. I said that there would be over 5.5 cautions. There were exactly 5 cautions. And if that white flag caution would have actually counted, that would have been it. Unfortunately, it wasn't. This one went 185, 186 green flag laps. That is unheard of at Martinsville. I know there's a lot of
unheard of, Rod. I tried to tell you this was not going to be a big caution race.
No, but I mean,
Martinsville gets strung out at times. Not in Xfinity trucks. We'll get to that. We talked about that. We handicapped those perfectly. Fucking disasters. But the Cup Series race just doesn't seem to. And yeah, I mean, it was a pretty uneventful day as far as that went. I mean, you had the 2 stage cautions, of course. You had debris at one point from Christopher Bell, and then what was it? John Hunter blowing the brake rotor, and Christopher Bell spun one other time, I think. So those were your only cautions. But yeah, unfortunately, just on the wrong side of that one. Rod on the wrong side of the outrights this week, although not too bad looking throughout the race, right? JGR took them, Joe Gibbs Racing, a plus 125. Again, I didn't want to pick one driver, especially with, I mean, Denny Hamlin ended up being plus 2 something before this race started. And that was looking pretty good for a while, right? Truex, not as impressive as we had hoped. Obviously, Bell goes out early and Gibbs wasn't much of a factor. But so we missed out on this. But Denny definitely had a chance to cash this one for a while. Blaney was at 7-1. Again, top 5. So he was there. Chase Elliott, though, 16-1. This was the one. There was a period in this race where it looked like, hey, maybe he's going to get it done. And then even I was praying so hard in overtime there, like just give him. We saw it with Almirola yesterday, right? Just bump the guy. You don't have to wreck him. It doesn't have to be like Ty Gibbs when he took out Brandon Jones. You just bump him out of the way. You take it, but not aggressive enough, unfortunately. Comes home in third. But Ryan Preece, 80-1. Again, Ton for an 80-1. You'll take it. What if, Rod, we get chaos there? What if Denny Hamlin stays out? He dive bombs into the corner, takes himself when the 3 Hendrick cars out. You get a restart, and then, Logano and Bubba get into it. All of a sudden, Ryan Preece shoots around. Like, that's why you bet that 80-1. Not because you think Ryan Preece was just going to go win the race, because we might get to overtime, which we did, and then chaos ensues, and he's right there to get on it. So didn't cash any of the outrights this week on this one, unfortunately. But I still feel pretty solid. I wish I would have leaned more into the Hendrick thing. I did with the Chase Elliott part of it, but maybe should have thought more into that. Just, I don't know. All the stats and the current form on short tracks had not been good for Hendrick. And so I was shying away from that, but obviously was not the correct call.
Yep, I was definitely on the wrong side of it too. I had Truex. End of story. Done. Dude had nothing for the field. His pissed offness ended when he left Richmond last week.
Started 4th place too, and you thought, like, okay, here we go. Like he could easily work his way to the front quickly, and then I don't know that he led throughout the day at all. I mean, he kind of bounced around. Then they tried the strategy at the end, and that obviously, staying out. That could have been it. That could have been the winning call, right? Had we got a timely caution. But unfortunately didn't work for him. He ends up going lapped, and it kind of just gets lost in the shuffle. So that's how it goes, unfortunately. Luckily, Rod, we did better in Xfinity and trucks. So, hey, keep listening to the Cup show. Obviously, we like betting on the Cup Series, but Xfinity and trucks, we've really been doing pretty well here lately. So make sure you're getting in on the full weekend, because got a triple header again this weekend, Rod, at Texas coming up. All 3 series are going to be back in action. So, should we move over to the Xfinity race?
Let us move to that Dude's Wipes 250. I love the sponsor. Love that the Dude Wipes car was actually freaking Anthony Alfredo, who told him he could do okay in this race. Yeah. Like, I know the sponsor of the race, but yeah.
He's been doing well in that 5 car. He had another solid day.
Yeah, I like I said, I don't know who told him he could do okay. I mean, top 15, he started 7th, but still, that Dude Wipes was prominent pretty much all day long. All right, Cody, where did we start first?
Well, Rod, Austin Hill top 5, Austin Hill top Chevy. I know that this is a 2-week losing streak. I get it. Please, my friends, I am begging you not to lose faith, not to lose hope. Austin Hill will be back, and we're going to bet these things again next week and hopefully get better numbers, because he's been shitty 2 weeks in a row. Actually, not really shitty 2 weeks in a row, but just bad. I mean, he got caught up in it this week. Early wreck. Fucking Brandon Jones forgot how to shift. He's only started 800 races in the Xfinity Series and still can't shift. So, but that cost Austin Hill, and who knows? We didn't really get to see because it was fairly early in the race. So that's how it goes sometimes again. But you keep betting this because it is more profitable more times than it's not, and just not its week this week.
I feel like Austin Hill is when we were all putting our money into Dogecoin. It was like hold. Like everybody wanted to bail out, and we were like, no, hold. It's gonna get to $1. This is the same with Austin Hill. This is gonna hit. Just hold, guys. Hold. The odds will get better for us, and we'll all hit together, and we'll all eat steak afterwards. All right. So listen, I don't take Cody. You know I don't take victory laps, Cody. I don't do it. You know why? Because very easily I could be wrong on every other thing that I ever say in my life. But will you take a knee to SVG finally, Cody? This guy, SVG, I took SVG over Matty D at -180. I said to you, you only pay the juice if you lose. Did anybody out there pay the juice on this one? No. Why? Because you did not lose. SVG pulls through and gets an impressive 11th place finish. Starting 19th, finished 11th on a short track, which you've never seen before in his life, getting beaten and banged around like he's never been in his entire career. And yet he finishes better than Matt DiBenedetto, who puts in a paltry 21st place finish in that impressive 38 Ryan Seed car. Never a factor, never running in the front, while SVG was basking in the glory of being on the television spotlight. Okay, I'm sorry. SVG beat Matty D. It was -180, but I still said it was going to happen, and it did. So, Cody?
This is why you watch on YouTube, Rod, because I just backed up and bowed down to our Lord Savior Jesus. And Rod taking a victory lap, not something you see on this show very often. So it was great.
I'm sorry, I'm on WrestleMania. I swear to God, if it weren't for WrestleMania, I wouldn't be cutting these promos.
I have prepared a statement. I would like to read the statement. I've never hated SVG. I think he's a good driver. I'm very excited to see his future. But I stand by the fact that laying -180 on a guy who's never raced this type of track at this track before in this type of racing was not a good idea. That it worked out for you. Okay. Matty D looked all right. I don't know if you saw him avoid that big wreck early on. He was looking like a top 5 car at that point. But again, this was not. You made me hate on SVG when I didn't want to do it, Rod. I love the guy. I swear to God, I love the guy. You know what? I am betting SVG to win at Texas. All right, it's going to be on the card because I'm tired of hearing from all of you guys. Anyways,
no, we need to get you. We need to just.
No,
get
you know what? If we could get
a shirt.
Yes, we need SVG's shirts with the NASCAR Gambling Podcast. We need to hit Jake up about that. Look, if there was top 10s in Xfinity, I would bet SVG every single fucking week because you get you might not get a good number because he's so popular, but you should get a good number on him, and he hangs around, he finishes. It's great. It's impressive. I love it. I'm still iffy about betting -180 on a head-to-head matchup that doesn't involve Max Verstappen, but it cashed, Rod. Proud of you. I'm glad that nobody had the balls to take me up on it on cut because I would have lost. And so that's that. Congratulations. Again, honestly and truly, overly impressed with SVG and what he's been doing this season as far as just learning and surviving, which is exactly that is all he should be focused on. When it comes to the road courses, he should be trying to win, of course. But the rest of these ovals, learn. The dude hasn't really raced ovals in the past, and he's doing a hell of a job. He's a very talented race car driver. So love to see it. And even in shitty equipment. I mean, those college cars been sucking, Rod. Speaking of college cars sucking, faded AJ Allmendinger. Lucky for us, Rod, he was caught up in that early accident. I had Taylor Gray over him. Obviously, that cashes when AJ goes out of the race, -120. I also had Austin Hill over AJ Allmendinger, Rod. I was sweating this one as the accident is happening. Which driver would slide a little farther? Luckily, it was Austin Hill because they both went out in this incident, but Hill was scored over Allmendinger. So we do get the credit there. Again, you didn't really get to see what AJ would have done anyways. And SVG had a good run, maybe, and actually, Williams looked not too bad either. Where'd he end up? He ended up in where did he end up? Oh, at 10th place, right?
Yeah.
Right with SVG. Those colleague cars in Xfinity starting to look like RFK cars because they just run right next to each other all the time. But so maybe it would have had a decent day, but obviously he gets taken on the wreck. But hey, cash is a cash. You're on the bad side sometimes, you're on the good side sometimes. And we'll take it. So both these head-to-heads actually cashed.
Yeah, and AJ top 5 at the end of stage 1 too. I mean, who knows how his day could have been if he wouldn't got caught up in it. Speaking of guys just coming out of nowhere off the top rope, Carson Kvapil took him over Sheldon Creed. This one had it had a chance, but Sheldon Creed actually looked like he remembered how to drive all of a sudden. And I thought, oh, this isn't trouble. And then thank God for Sheldon Creed remembering that he was Sheldon Creed, especially at the end of it, and kicked himself into 6th place. Whereas Carson Kvapil, man, what a strong run for that 88 car, finishing in 4th place. And I said, too, this is the 88 car. It's going to be fast. The only question is, can the driver put it where it needs to be? I mean, if you're in a Lamborghini, are you good enough to drive a Lamborghini fast enough to be fast with the rest of the fast people, right? Turns out Carson Kvapil was finished. He started 12th, finished 4th. I mean, what more can you say?
Which car were you referring to as a Lamborghini?
Well, not the Junior Motorsports truck, man. That's my Lamborghini. Not Junior Motorsports car. We're not talking truck shit. Junior Motorsports car. Aren't they all Lamborghinis?
The results would beg to differ, but yes, sure.
They're Chevys. Listen, man, just because they finished 2nd, 4th, and 5th, and 7th, that's Lamborghini-esque, but we'll talk about that in a second. But anyways, Carson Kvapil, hell of a run by that kid. So excited to see what this 88 car continues to be, because I will continue to put bets on whoever's driving that 88 car, because we've seen it so far. Doesn't matter who's in it.
Yeah, 2 weeks in a row, guys making their Xfinity debuts in that car. One young and one old, and they both, top 6 finishes, because that's where Pollard finished last week. But
I wish I'd have had the balls to put Kvapil as the top 5, though. I really wish I'd have had
his number just wasn't good enough. It was again, like, they've not been hanging the number, and obviously for good reason, apparently, because they know. The number wasn't big enough, but impressive run by Carson. Look, again, a name you're going to need to know, because he's going to be around and likely will be in the Cup Series one day, like his father was. Rod, I had Parker Retzlaff top 5, 10-1. He was caught up in that accident as well, so didn't get to see it from him. So again, you don't really know. At 10-1 for what we'd seen from him lately, I liked it. And then Matty D at 30-1. Again, this was just chaos, right? We would need some chaos to happen, and maybe you get some crazy guys finishing up there. We got some chaos, but not enough chaos. I mean, it wasn't enough that he was going to be up there. And I don't know, at 30-1, you can't ever really say it was a horrible bet. Probably not the most advisable thing to do, but I felt like going crazy, and oh well.
Well, unfortunately, he was caught up in the chaos, so there was no.
Yeah, he was part of. Well, I mean, he barely got through that big one, like just squeaked by on the outside, and then, I think he did get caught up in something else later on where he was at least spun out. So, it's how it goes. He didn't look horrible, but I mean, he's Matty D, so
yeah,
whatever.
All right, so I had Brandon Jones as a top 5. Stupid guy misses a shift. I'm sorry, Brandon. I love you. I'm going to have a beer with you.
Well, he was fine after he missed a shift, Rod. He took out half the field, but that should have helped him cash this bet.
Well, I know. And he got back inside of the top 5 with less than 100 to go. But then he lost it to Justin Allgaier. 95 laps to go. He lost to 5th place. And then that was it. I mean, Brandon Jones couldn't recover from there. Ends up, where did he end up?
Ended up wrecking out later on. But yeah, he was 27th. So.
Yep. But he started on the pole.
He qualified on the pole. He ended up starting in the back because all the
true.
JRM cars changed their brake rotors. But yeah, I don't know. I had him as well as the top Chevy. Look, that was looking good after qualifying, right? You're like, oh shit, starting up front here. Maybe something will happen. I also had a couple of top Toyota sprinkles, Rod. What did I say? It was going to be Eric Almirola's show. Just in case it's not, you take the long shots in Heim and Gray. Heim also caught up in that early wreck. A lot of our bets went out in that wreck, Rod. And then Taylor Gray, 19th. He was caught up in a wreck at one point. I don't remember if it was that wreck. It may have been where he got damaged there. I know he had some issues and ends up in 13th. Not a horrible day for him, but probably never really had a shot at this. Again, you're just playing the numbers on small group of cars. If Eric Almirola, who was right in front of Brandon Jones and actually got tapped in that, or maybe was he? I think he was right in front of him, and Jones got into the back of him, or maybe he was right behind Jones. I don't remember. But he was there, and it got scary because I was sweating that for a second. But, something like that happens. Those guys takes him out. Maybe Gray ends up being there getting that top Toyota. That's why you're playing those bets. So I would really place all three of those again.
Yeah, and to me, I'm so pissed off because, like I said, Jones, he was ready to go. He just had it there. So, oh well. All right, I had Riley Herbst as a top, 3 car at 5-1. This was not even anywhere close. He got that penalty back in stage 1. Look, he was up to 7th at lap 148, right? He was top 10 late in the race too. Maybe had an opportunity to do it, but got wrecked out. Did not see the end of that day, unfortunately. It was at points, right? He rebounded for that penalty pretty well, and we thought, okay, we're back on track for this. But unfortunately, like we said, with that last wreck ended it all. And Riley Herbst, man, starting 22nd, managing to get his way up into 7th place and then into the top 10 still in the thick of things. He's going to be good still. Like, I'm not worried about it, but that was just a crappy way for it to end.
He's had some strings of bad luck here. It's going to happen. You're going to keep getting good numbers on him. So I think we're going to keep finding ways to take him and hope that it pans out, much like a Sam Mayer did this week, right? Finally, I stopped betting on him. Ends up finally getting over all the bad luck and finishing at 2nd. So I think Herbst will be there soon as well. Rod, I had Group B winner to be Taylor Gray, plus 275. Had him over Sammy Smith, Sheldon Creed, and Jesse Love. He actually finished worst out of these guys, I believe. Creed, Smith. Where was Love?
Love actually finished in 9th.
Yeah. So, he was the worst guy of these. So, so we're going to miss by me. Again, he was good last week at Richmond. And in the JGR car again, he figured he'd be fast. But he really just didn't show up. Got some damage early, and then you don't really hear much from him.
I mean, he was good. I mean, look, for a second start, still at a track like this to finish in the top 15, to finish 13th, I'll still take it any day, man. I know him and Heim both kind of had the opposite days of what they had at Richmond, so definitely frustrating for that. Frustrating.
Hey, Rod.
Yes.
Question for you.
Yes.
What number was Eric Almirola in on Saturday?
He was not under 11.5. I'll guarantee you that much right now, which is what
Continue.
I had. Unfortunately, I ended up taking the winning car number under 11.5. Cody took the opposite side of that.
Late edition of the show, I decided to argue with Rod on this because, it was a bad bet on his side. And so, Rod, you might have got me earlier, but I got you this time. Minus 135. You only pay the juice if you lose, Rod. And did anybody pay the juice? No, they didn't.
Touche, good sir. Touche. So you got that one. You got the winning side of it. But again,
we split our head-to-head bets.
We did too. And I told you too that this was probably, there was a heavy power load underneath there, and there was a lot of guys that were in and around it, right? Sam Mayer finished in 2nd place. Eric Almirola blows a tire. Eric Almirola does something. Sam Mayer sitting right there. Justin Allgaier was in 5th place. That's another one. Sammy Smith was in 7th. Cole Custer was in 8th. In fact, Cole Custer led 27 laps of this race. Sammy Smith led 42. So, look, we both knew that this was going to be Eric Almirola. This was just more of a hedge just in case something goes wrong. Maybe Eric doesn't get, or maybe Eric gets behind Brandon Jones and gets mixed up in all that stuff. So, it's you never know. Speaking of never know, what was your you had Eric Jones to win this race, and he did pull through.
I did not have Eric Jones to win this race because Eric Jones was not in this race.
Eric Almirola. Sorry.
Although you were reading the first two, because I did put in the doc. I put Eric and then I put Jones.
Yes, you did.
Both. Look, I said take sprinkles on Brandon Jones, 20-1. Qualifies on the pole, Rod. Again, good CLV for you there. Corey Heim, 28-1 was worth a sprinkle. Austin Hill at 30-1 is always worth a sprinkle. Didn't pan out for any of those guys, but Rod, I told you it's going to be Eric Almirola's day, plus 350. Again, one of these situations where you take the favorite, you roll with it. He's going to be fucking good. And he was fucking good. And again, you should be in the Discord because Chandler Smith, has an issue in practice, doesn't even qualify. They take the car all the way back to Charlotte, right? Fix it. He was 12-1. We told people in the Discord, get in on that. There were chances he looked like he was going to win this race, so you were fairly well covered. But look, there was no question this was going to be Eric Almirola's race to lose, and he did not lose. It was close at the end there, right? Couple of, he takes the outside on one of the restarts, and everybody's like, what the fuck is he doing? It was a veteran move. He basically set up, I didn't remember who it was at that time, but set him up, let him get in front of him, bumped him, moved him out of the way like Chase Elliott should have done on Sunday. And it was a masterclass of Martinsville racing in overtimes there for Eric Almirola. Plus 350 cashes. And this was the right bet to take. And I just said that, JDK. Are you even listening? But yes, Chandler Smith,
he's
12
like a
to 1.
5-second delay. It's okay.
5-second delay. It's okay. I love you.
No, listen, and we didn't even talk about Chandler in the episode, so shout out to him, man.
Well, and it was
fast.
It was, and he's going to be fast every week, right? Like literally, and to probably nobody's surprise, it's just going to be which JGR car do you bet on each week, because they've been winning every single race with John Hunter, with Eric, with Chandler, which, like I said, was going to happen at the beginning of the season. That's really how it's panned out. JRM still winless at this point, mostly because JGR and Austin Hill have won every race. But I don't see that slowing down anytime soon. So I think that's just how it goes.
Well, Brian had one Xfinity bet, Herbst over Love. I'm about to talk about Love because I said
last lap he got that one. Oh.
Yeah, I said Love was a good bet to make if you're thinking he was going to win the race. Because like we said, I mean, listen, we both knew that this was Eric Almirola's, and I think I even said as much. I didn't go back and listen, but pretty sure I agreed with you on that. But I also said to take a stab at Love. I mean, look at Love continues to impress me. 9th place run here, 11th. He stayed out of trouble, which is exactly what you want a rookie to do. And he had moments where he was actually surging in for not the lead, but at least a top 5. He was peeking his head in a little bit here and there. So yeah, I'm impressed with Love. Going to continue to ride that train. 18-1, not bad for a 9th place car. And then I said Taylor Gray, but that's because we were riding the hot hand. So yeah, can't really do that. Seth checking in late to the party. He says, like William Byron, and thank you Almirola for saving the week. Hey, Seth, you were up on Almirola, so good for you. And Martinsville sucks now. It makes him sad. I know it's not the greatest of racing.
It was good in Xfinity. Xfinity specifically was a really good race. I mean, there was constant battling, constant passing. We've got to figure out this new car in the short track deal. Again, it's been pretty good everywhere else. The intermediates have been good. We've just got to figure out the short track package.
Yeah. And then I agree with Brian. WrestleMania was the best sporting events of the week, especially because Bayley got her belt back. Let's go. Bayley got the title.
I don't know about
Love
that,
it.
but
let's see if she goes back to being a hugger. All right. Let's move on to the trucks. I think I was happy with the trucks at points, and then I wasn't happy with the trucks at points. So this truck race, though, 11 cautions for 81 laps.
We said it was going to happen, Ron.
I know. There's only 200 laps. Almost half of it was spent under caution. This was crazy.
Yeah. No, it's exactly what we said was going to happen. It was going to be chaotic. There was going to be a lot of wrecks. It played out exactly how we thought it would, Rod, in a lot of cases. I would like to remind you, going into this race, Sammy Smith was the favorite, Rod. Sammy Smith ends up finishing in 8th place, okay, which I'm a little bitter about. I don't think I ever saw him one time until the end of this race run better than 18th place, Rod. He was fucking horrendous on the day. Everything I said about him was correct. One truck race, you can't look at it. Everybody was up his ass for some reason. The odds were, it was ridiculous, stupid. No way he should have been the favorite. Shouldn't have even been in the top 15 of favorites, apparently. Ends up with 8th place. Again, that's how the cards fall at the end of the day. Whatever, was not running that good. He fucking cucked me on Corey Heim because I had Corey Heim over him at plus 120. Plus 120, Rod. Minus 155 on race day. You got to wait till after practice and qualifying, Rod, to make your bets. I hear this so often. No, you fucking don't. I think it's a good idea to save some of your budget for after practice and qualifying. Yes, but Corey Heim at plus 120 over him. No, I understand it didn't cash, but it was minus 155 on race day, so I will take the W there. Also, at Christian Eckes over Sammy Smith. Christian Eckes blew the field away, wins the race. Sammy Smith battling for 20th all day. This head-to-head was not even close. Very reminiscent of William Byron over Brad Keselowski in the truck race. It still floors me that Sammy Smith was the favorite going into this race, right? I really couldn't believe it, and I still don't believe it, because what did we not watch Sammy Smith race for like the last year? But whatever.
Well, I'll talk about Sammy Smith in a second because I have something, but I also agreed with you that he should not have been the favorite. I did not want to bet him outright because I didn't think he was going to win the race. But I think he had something for the field. Yeah, did he? No, but he did manage to actually hang around and not get into enough trouble to not finish well. At what point did Nick Sanchez decide he wanted to figure out how to drive again? Nick Sanchez, almost non-existent all season long. Man. And now all of a sudden he starts fifth, finishes fourth. I had Taylor Gray over Nick Sanchez in this one. Taylor started 12th, finished sixth, had a hell of a run, but Sanchez just hung around in the front all damn day long. Like he was just not going anywhere. The only reason that he didn't finish anywhere near the front in the end of stage 2 was strategy call, but managed to find his way back up there again. So yeah, I mean, I can't even say it. This was one that it came out of nowhere, literally came out of nowhere and got bit by it. Taylor Gray just didn't have the great weekend. So yeah, I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah, that's how it goes. And that's really was the story of Gray's weekend, unfortunately. 6th place, though, not a bad run by any means for him. I mean, he'll definitely take that top finishing Toyota on the day. So there is that. But yeah, Sanchez is kind of weird, man. He just shows up at random times and gets it done, and it worked out for him this week. So I had Lane Riggs over Tyler Ankrum. I believe Lane Riggs just actually, I don't know why I didn't think of this before, Rod, but the 38 truck had a tendency to go to the back a lot last season with Zane Smith, right? There goes Zane Smith going to the back again. Well, there goes Lane Riggs spinning out again. And actually, I think he just spun out another time. He's still spinning out. Like, dude was all over the fucking place. Qualified third, so you're like, okay, here we go. Short track guy is what he should do. But not so much, Rod. Ends up holding on to 15th somehow at the chaos at the end. But had him over Tyler Ankrum. Ankrum qualifies 9th, so you're feeling pretty good going into the race about this. And Ankrum had not been good here, but man, he's really shown up this year in that McAnally truck and looked a lot better. So on me for fading him, I guess, this week, and really thought I would see more out of Riggs. And we'll just go to my next bet. I had Riggs top forward too, which taking other people to be the top forwards. I mean, Matt Crafton, the best finishing forward in 12th place outside of Majeski. Again, Majeski was like minus 120. And so I wasn't going to play that. But yeah, bad call, I guess, on Riggs at top forward and him over Ankrum. And yeah, Andrew checking in and saying was wild. He still finished 15th. Yeah, like as many times as he spun out and was getting beat around, for him to come back and finish 15th kind of shows you how hectic this was. But hey, props to him for, I guess, finishing that good, but was not good for my bets, Rob.
No, it was not, Seth. I will get to that in a second, and I appreciate the props about the truck number bet. And then my brother saying he wants to be a Nick Sanchez fan and the Gray Boys. I can get on board with at least the Gray Boys. Sanchez, jury's still out on him for me. But
going to Texas next week, Rod. I don't know if you remember last year, the Cup and Xfinity didn't go there till the fall, but the truck race was in the spring with the IndyCar race, which isn't going to Texas this year, unfortunately. Nick Sanchez led like every single lap and then got wrecked in overtime and didn't win the race. So it'll be interesting to see how he, builds off the momentum of a good run this week and, going back to Texas where he should have won after just dominating the race last year. And yeah, we'll talk about that more, but very interesting going into next week.
Very interesting going into last week was that Tyler Ankrum ended up finishing 5th, which is exactly where I said he was going to finish. Tyler Ankrum is a top 5 car at plus 220. Definitely cashed. He finished exactly in 5th. Look, he's just going to be a factor. Like he's literally just going to be a factor all season long. It doesn't matter. He's just going to be a top 5 factor, in my opinion. That 18 truck has looked so solid this season, and I'm going to continue to ride this top 5 train no matter where it goes, because we've seen it on just about every different track style that we've seen it on now. And I'm a firm Tyler Ankrum believer. And look, this was this had its moments where it may not have cashed, and it was cashing, and then it may not have cashed. In fact, toward the end, I didn't think it was going to cash, but thankfully it did. But Ankrum, well, he was inside of the top 10. He was 7th at the end of stage 1, 2nd at the end of stage 2, behind the 19 truck. So, I mean, again, he started 9th, finished 5th. I'm just going to continue to ride this Ankrum train and see how far it takes us, because he's been very good and very solid, and a driver that doesn't put himself into positions where he's going to get himself in trouble. So give me Tyler Ankrum. I'm glad that he got the top 5 for us this week.
Yeah, good call by you. I mean, I faded him because his track history wasn't good. You took him because of his momentum lately, but momentum doesn't matter, Rod. That's what I've been told. Apparently it does. So good call. Good on you for this call.
I'll go ahead and take I'll go take my top Ford one. Yeah, I gave Crafton twice. Yeah, I gave Crafton as a top Ford. Hey, listen, man, the 88, for what it's worth, gave it a run, right?
Second best Ford, Rod.
Yeah, he started way back in the field, and he started in 24th. Managed to get himself up to 12th, and he made himself. He was the top Ford. Well, he wasn't the top Ford because Majeski ran the frick away with it after he started on the pole. 66 laps Majeski ran. If it weren't for just figuring out where the gas pedal was this week, and shout out to the NASCAR betting preview show. I know that those guys were on it. You know, Derek and Phil both were on Ty Majeski. In fact, go back and listen, because Ty Majeski was actually on Phil's All Things, or Derek's All Things Go podcast. So,
which was great interview with them. Yeah, that was cool to listen to. But yeah, shout out to Majeski for avoiding the piano falling out of the sky. But plus 550 was a good call by you for top finishing Ford. Look, he ends up being the second best Ford. So piano falls out of the sky on Majeski, and boom, you got Crafton there, even all the way back in 12th. I had Crafton for a top 5 at 5-1. And again, he started bad. Didn't look so bad during the race, though. He definitely worked his way up there. Top 5, I don't think it was ever really going to happen. So unfortunate. I had William Sawalich also top 5 at 3-1, Rod. Was William Sawalich in this race? I'm uncertain. 26th place finish. He started 21st. I don't know that he was ever better than that. So, man, I was so excited because Sawalich has, again, been a guy we've seen a lot of good stuff from, but just wasn't his week for sure, and struggled throughout the race and never really saw much of him.
I mean, he worked his way to the top 10. He finished stage 2 inside the top 10 at 10th place exactly. But again, that was more people pitting out of sequence at the end of that.
Yeah, that was a weird deal, because like Eckes stayed out, and you're like, God, why would you do that? And it ended up working out for him in the long run. But I think that was more just pit cycling than actually getting up there.
I love that they kept saying he's got an extra pair of tires. Is he going to come in? Is he going to come in? He's got tires left. It's like, hell no, shut up. All right. I had Sammy as a top 3 truck. Again, I wasn't saying that he was going to win this race, but I thought maybe that 7 truck would have a little something more. Look, he ends up 8th. Something happens up front. A couple of more trucks take themselves out.
Something did happen. That's what got him to 8th, right?
I know. But I'm saying one more thing could have happened. They could have got racy up there between Majeski and Eckes, or Majeski and Purdy, or Purdy and Sanchez. So, I mean, any number of things. Hell, Raja Karuth finished 7th, and he wasn't around all day long. Like, literally was a non-factor, and he finished 7th. So, I'm just saying it wasn't a bet that I thought was a lock, but it was something that was worth exploring, because hell, it could have happened. So it didn't. That's all right. I learned. I won't do it again.
Yeah, this was a horrible call by you. Sammy Smith should not have been anywhere close to the top 3. Wasn't anywhere close to the top 3. I had a couple top Chevy bets, Rod. Grant Enfinger at 7-1. Might be putting Enfinger in the closet for a while. Not only did that truck,
Cody Enfinger had nowhere near anything.
At 7-1, I think for his track history, it might have been worth it. But I mean, that truck looks like a bad truck. Like, just the amount of whatever didn't go into putting a paint scheme on that thing. It looks like it's just out there to finish in 20th, and that's what it did. So maybe we're not going to bet on Enfinger for a while. I think it's unfortunate that GMS shut down and he went to a shitty team, but I think that's kind of where we're at this point. So Enfinger's off my board for a while, Rod. Somebody who's not off my board for a while, though, Christian Eckes, plus 210, top Chevrolet. Look, he was like same price as Heim at plus 450 to win. I wanted to get in on Heim. I still wanted to find a way to get in on Eckes, so I'm glad I took this. Ends up being the top finishing Chevrolet. Of course, he wins the race, so cashes this at plus 210. And then Rod, gonna have to agree with our buddy Seth here. Your truck number bet was the best bet of the week. I don't argue with you on number bets, except in the Xfinity race where you were wrong. But this was the best bet of the week by far. Again, the drivers you were getting in this group, it was just at this number as well. So I'll let you get into it. But yeah, I agree with Seth. This was probably the best bet any of us made throughout the entire weekend.
Well, and I said that the winning truck band would be between 10 and 19. It was at plus 120. And, when you look at all of the folks, it gave you Corey Heim, who finished in 10th, gave you Sammy Smith, who finished in 8th. It gave you Taylor Gray, who finished in 6th. Yes, finished
Stop
in 8th.
trying to make Sammy Smith sound relevant, Rod.
Well, Sammy Smith was driving the 7th. Sammy Smith finished in 8th. It gave you Taylor Gray, who finished in 6th. They gave you Tyler Ankrum, who finished in 5th. Listen, it gave you almost 5 of the top 8 cars in the field. So, yeah, it gave you half of the top 10 cars. Any one of those trucks could have won. Guess what? It gets to the very end of the 19. Because I told you, too, I said if Christian Eckes wakes up and figures out how to win this race, it gives you Eckes another way to get in on him. And guess what? Thankfully, I know I didn't have as an outright. In fact, I'll just tell you now, I had Taylor Gray as an outright, too, at 14-1. But I also said that Taylor Gray was in that band, too, so you got double dipped. But if Eckes ends up winning, then you get Eckes. Guess what? You got Eckes.
Yeah. Again, Eckes' number was shorter this week, and so we didn't want to go there outright wise, but we found other ways to get in on him with the top Chevy with the winning truck number. So I'm glad we did, because obviously, he's not a guy that he's going to be around this year for sure. So and I think really they've kind of taken the mantle as best truck out there in that McAnally truck. So outright, I had Corey Heim. Obviously, he just completely shit the bed. So I don't know. I still think he's one, the best driver I think it's him and Eck is kind of 1A, 1B, whichever way you want to put it. But I'm not ever going to be sad for betting Heim, especially plus 450. His value got pushed down because Sammy Smith was in this race, which is the most ridiculous thing I've ever said in my life. But that's what happened. And so I would take him at plus 450 any week. Didn't pan out this week. Oh, well, maybe we'll get a good number on him next week at Texas and get back in on him. Swalich 20-1. This was obviously a bad one. He didn't show up. Just betting on the talent. Crafton 35-1. I still don't think this was a bad bet. Again, really wasn't probably ever going to win this race, but 35-1 for a crafty Matt Crafton. Whatever is what it is.
Hey, the old man hung in there, and I'm proud of him. So I know that every morning I wake up and I think to myself, is this going to be it? I'm feeling like Matt Craft is probably thinking the same thing. Like, is this the day my back goes out? Is this the day that I can't walk anymore? But good for him for hanging with everybody and making him look semi-decent. But all right, Cody, well, that's it for Martinsville. Next week, we move to Texas, where the stars at night are big and bright. We're gonna be breaking it down for you this coming week. So glad we got to do this on a Sunday too. It's always fun to do it when it's all fresh.
Yeah, exactly. Love it. Glad it worked out. Thanks for everybody who joined us in the live comments. Of course, make sure you're going over to the YouTube, clicking the subscribe, click the bell so you get notified. And Eclipse, I believe the Eclipse, the path of totality in Texas tomorrow. Then we got races this weekend, Rod. What could go wrong? Absolutely. When the moon lines up correctly, NASCAR racing gets crazy. So we might be in for a good one. But I'm excited. All 3 series back in action. So we'll probably be back with an F1 Gambling Podcast recap this week as well. No open wheel racing, but all 3 NASCAR series. So excited to cover it this week.
Indeed. All right. Well, then let's go ahead and skedaddle and get everybody off to bed, because it is already tomorrow for some of you guys. But until then, Cody, let everyone know where they can find you and all of your viral tweets.
Yeah, that's I've never had something retweeted so many times. So it's pretty crazy. But anyways, Rod, follow me over on the X where you can see that tweet at Husker_Zeeb. You can find all my stuff over there. I've got an article coming out in the morning, Monday morning, for men's national championship game is Monday evening. So I've got DFS article with some of my favorite plays over there. So make sure you're checking that out. Ton of other stuff. Just a lot of stuff. So follow me over on the X at Husker_Zeeb. You can find it all there. Make sure you join us in the Discord as well. sg.pn/Discord. Jump in there. The conversation during these races is great. Nonstop. And then again, throughout the week, it'll start tomorrow evening. Odds usually kind of drop late Monday. People will be in there, sorting through what the best bets are already. And it's a great place to be. So make sure you're in there.
I concur. I'm on X at RJ Villagomez, linking about everything I got going on, whether it's here, whether it's Sportsbook Review, or by the way, my WrestleMania picks, I hit 2 of 3. So, whoa, pretty excited about that. You can also find me on the back road with Seth and Elliot. Not this week, but of course, check them out as well. And of course, the Arena Football League podcast, get caught up on Media Day. We are getting close to the season. Excited for that to start. Excited for you guys to catch us tomorrow, or not tomorrow, Tuesday. When the odds start dropping for the Cup Series show. So until then, everyone, have a good night. Let's go racing and let it ride.